hello my lovely soulmates, and welcome back to the channel, you guys. It is so good to see you. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell so you are notified every time your girl drops a video. Thank you guys for being here today. Today, you guys, we are calling on all of the soulmates, okay? I'm calling on all of my soulmates to come together. We are here to give advice and provide support for each other. I think what I love about women is that women survive things and then they pass it down and they teach other women how to survive similar situations and experiences. I think that's why we love grandmothers and mothers like so much, because they survive things and they don't want the generation after them to ever have to go through it. But if you do go through it, they have the tools and they pass it down to tell you like, hey, listen, this is how I survived and this is how you can do it too. So I love a village of women. I love women's support system. So, I'm constantly getting emails. If you guys remember, last month I asked you guys to go ahead and email me if you had anything that you needed advice on or support from the soulmates, and I received a bunch of them. I went through them and I picked one for us to give you advice on today. If I have not gotten to yours, do not worry. I will definitely get to it. And if you have something that you want to send me, you can still send it to me. So let's go ahead and get into the first one. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, so I chose Iris. So Iris, if you're watching this one is for you, girl. So it says, hi Elli Soul. I first want to thank you for your transparency on your platform. My daughter put me onto your videos and we've been watching you together ever since. Oh. Although I am older than you, I've still learned so much from you. Watching you, I'm gonna skip that part because it gets a little personal. Okay. And be blessed in the way you've been blessed has given me so much hope. I haven't yet been strong enough to leave my current boyfriend, but he no longer makes me happy. He has done a complete 180 since we moved in together, and I can't believe I didn't see these sides of him before. I do love him, but I'm confused. I've invested in him and I want to see it work, but I don't know how to move forward or let go. I would love some advice. Okay, Iris. Well, first of all, thank you for your transparency and for being so open and vulnerable with us. This is a judgment-free zone, first and foremost. Sorry. Secondly, just know, again, when advice is given, it's given from a space of one's personal experience, right? So I could only speak from my personal experience. So take my advice or anyone in the comment section advice with a grain of salt. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack here. I'm gonna go from the beginning. So he no longer makes me happy. First, I want to advise you to be very careful when it comes to making it someone else's responsibility for your happiness. Ultimately, I believe we are all responsible for our own happiness. It is not up to our partners to make us happy. So make sure that you are pouring into yourself, and so that you're a happy individual and he is a whole, healthy individual, happy individual, and together you guys can be a happy couple, right? I think when you rely on your partner to make you happy, you just set yourself up for disappointment. You set the expectations far too high, because ultimately no one can make you happy aside from yourself. So be careful with that. But there are obviously things that people can do that can contribute to our unhappiness. So I think I'm gonna ask you throughout this whole process to kind of literally pull out a notebook, and I'm gonna ask you to dive deep. You're gonna have to dive into yourself first and foremost. You're gonna have to dive into your partner so you know what's going on with him. And you're gonna have to do some digging into the relationship, the situation. So truly come to terms with what is making you unhappy. Is it something that you are in need of? Is there a need of yours that is not being met in the relationship? Is that contributing to you being unhappy in the relationship? Or has your partner kind of crossed the line with the non-negotiable? So I always say in relationships, there's always those non-negotiables, those things that are hard lines, hard no's, things that you just would not accept or would make you extremely unhappy if your partner did them, right? It could be anything from infidelity to lies, mistreatment, abuse, anything along those lines. You could have your own non-negotiables and they don't have to be so extreme, but just to name a few. Sorry, excuse me. I haven't had lunch, so it's snack time. It is always snack time for me. Alright, so get to the bottom line of what about your situation is making you unhappy. Has your partner crossed a line? Okay. The next thing you said is he has done a complete 180 since we've moved in together. Okay. In my experience, I would say you do not truly know someone until you are living with them. That's why I kind of don't have a problem moving and living together, because I feel like it saves so much time. Like, you will not get to truly see someone until you see them every day, until you live with them. You see them when they're mad, you see them when they're tired, you see them when they wake up, when they are ready to go to bed, when they're exhausted, when they're hungry, when they're frustrated. I mean, this is when you truly get to see all of someone, is when you're living with them. So I have no problem, and again, this is just me personally, I have no problem living with someone, because I feel like that's when I truly get to see all of them, and I can really like decide, is this the person for me or not. So do not be surprised that that person is kind of doing a 180, and it might not be that. It might just be that you're seeing sides of him that you have never seen before, and maybe some of them can be a little shocking or a little off-putting. So you said, I can't believe I didn't see these sides of him before. Yeah, so another thing with obviously relationships, and this goes for both men and women, Some people do a really good job at hiding who they are for months on end. You kind of don't really know them. And then months down the line, you really come to find out who this person is. So it could be possible if he's done a complete 180. It could be that, you know, he was pretending, he was putting his best foot forward, he was showing you all the best sides of him, and now that you're living together, they kind of get in their comfort zone and they start to show you who they really are. This is when the mask comes off. The reason why people do this is because moving in with someone, living together, that is a commitment. So they see that you're more committed to them, right? If you guys weren't living together, you would just break it off. But since you're living together, now that is a contract. Now that's a commitment, right? You're less likely to walk away now that you guys are living together, because the consequences are just greater. The loss is greater. And I think that that's why some people wait until you're living together for them to show you their worst. Okay? So you said, I do love him, but I am confused. I've invested in him and I want to see it work, but I don't know how to move forward or let it go. Taking a little snack break. I'm sorry. When baby girl wants food, she wants food and she takes it very personal. So let me feed her a little bit and then I will be back.
One eternity later. Much later.
Alright, so how do you know if you could work things out with this person or if you should let it go? Okay, so something I always check for, and this will tell me if it's a complete waste of my time and I need to just drop the situation, or if it's worth working through, is when you tell this person how you feel. Do they get defensive, make it an issue, make it an argument, or do they listen to how you feel? Do they take accountability for, you know, whatever part that they've played? And is the way that they're talking to you, like, are they trying to come up with solutions and change behavior, whatever it is that is needed to solve the situation? But if me telling you how your actions or what you've done makes me feel and you completely dismiss it, or you downplay it, or you are defensive about it and you try to fight me about how I feel, and that to me is like, I cannot work with someone that isn't willing to take accountability, because then it's like we're getting nowhere, you know? So that's something that I look for, and if it's gonna work, then I look for again, what was done and what is making me unhappy. So you have to dive deep into, is this something that I am able to forgive and move forward from? What would I need from this person in order for that to happen? And is this person capable of making that change, right? Another thing is understanding that people are human and people are going to disappoint you and they're going to make mistakes. So is this one of those situations? Because here's how people bite themselves in the butt and miss out on the opportunity of having something great, which is a long-term partnership, right? It's when you split people. And splitting people is, I'm going to give you an example. If someone disappoints you or does something to you, then you label them either all good or all bad. For example, this person is, everything you ever wanted and everything seems great, perfect. You're expecting perfection out of this person. Because when people, or the idea that someone is good all the time, that feeds your ego, right? But when they show you certain sides that maybe are not so good, that maybe are not so healthy, then they're all bad. And then you cross this person off as like, this person is such a bad person, when not necessarily. So here's the thing, everybody has healthy parts of them and unhealthy parts of them. Every single human, me, you, everyone, included your partner, everyone has things about them that makes them healthy and unhealthy. Obviously, there are some people who are more unhealthy and some that are more healthy, but regardless, we all have some unhealthy qualities and some healthy qualities about us, and we all need work. So be honest with yourself. Are you being too hard on the person? Did they show you sides of them that were unhealthy, and now out of a place of fear, right? Fear of hurt, fear of something, you're crossing that person off and you're putting them in the all bad category when they're not all bad. They maybe just need some work. Now again, when I say need some work and unhealthy qualities or traits, I'm not talking about the non-negotiables. Your non-negotiables should be hard lines. In my opinion, they're not lines that you should be budging on, right? If somebody does it, I don't think that that's something that you should forgive, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, at the end of the day, do what feels right for you. But every time I decided to stick around in a situation when my hard lines were being crossed, eventually that relationship failed. Because once someone crosses your hard line and you allow it, it teaches them that you're okay being disrespected in a sense, and then you also lose respect for them. And something I've never been able to do is re-respect someone. Once I do not respect you, you will get the absolute worst of me. And I am not sorry about it. And I probably become worse than the person themselves. So because I know that about myself, I understand that once I lose respect for the person that I'm involved with, it's time for me to wrap it up and go. Because from that point forward, you will always get the worst of me. Even if you apologize, even if we get to a better place, I will never respect you again. And so the way I talk to you changes, the way I treat you changes, the way that I just lose respect. And so you have a different person now. And because I know that, it also applies to your partner. Sometimes once your partner loses respect for you, you don't have the same person that you had before. And if you allow that disrespect, you just show them that you're okay with being disrespected. So unfortunately, you're never going to see a good side of them again. It might just be occasionally, but for the most part, you're now dating someone completely different. Okay. So this is where you're diving deep and you're finding out, okay, who am I working with? What kind of person am I working with? What are their toxic traits? What are my non-negotiables? This is where you're kind of weighing things out and seeing what is for you and what isn't for you. Are you truly going to be able to be a happy, healthy person in this relationship or not? And I can't give you the answers to that. Only you can. And the only way you're going to get to those answers is by digging deep into self, digging into that person, digging into the relationship. And I'll tell you this, when it comes to a life partnership, love is not always present in the situation. And that's kind of like a myth that is told. And a lot of people, we have like this unrealistic la la land perception of what love, marriage, commitment looks like and should be. And a lot of people, once they are no longer in that sweet spot, then they toss the entire relationship away. And I'm not in no way, shape, or form telling you to put up with anything that is not serving you, because I'm the first person to pick up and leave when a situation is no longer serving me. That is not what this is about. What I'm talking about is, what can you work through? If it's not a hard line, not a non-negotiable, you have someone that maybe has made a mistake, you have someone that maybe is working through some trauma and has some unhealthy habits that they're still working through, and they acknowledge it and they are apologetic about it, and they understand that they need to work on that. I feel like that's something that you can work through. You can work with someone who is willing to work with you. Like I said, love and commitment are not the same thing. And at times when love is out the window, commitment is the foundation of what's gonna hold you guys and kind of keep you solid throughout those tough times and those years. Because I remember there's times where you don't like the person that you're with. You know, you guys are in such like different waves in different spaces, and you're misunderstanding each other, and you know, there's issues, and you almost dislike them. That love you felt, that those butterflies, it's out the window. You can't find that. You can't see it in that space, in that time, in that moment. But commitment is what's going to keep you guys grounded, committed to each other, right? And where there's commitment, there's obviously not going to be that partner is going to fall back to infidelity or mistreating you. No, commitment is, I'm here, I'm committed to you and the relationship, committed to finding a solution to this problem, working through it. Even if it's hard, even if I'm mad at you, I'm here. I'm here and I'm buckled up for this battle. Not fighting each other, but fighting us against whatever the situation is. So, yeah, in those moments, you cannot find love. Like, love is really not there. It's not a thing. So, I think lose that perception that you always have to be madly in love with someone. Or if you're in a space where you're not feeling madly in love with your partner, does that mean that the relationship has to come to an end? No. That is what a life partnership is about. It's not simply about when you love that person or when there's like immense amounts of romancing in the relationship. Commitment and love, they go together, but they don't always exist at the same time. There are those times where I'm telling you, love is out and commitment is what's going to get you through. And so I think digging deep into, again, self, your partner, truly trying to understand your partner, and then understanding your relationship, your situation, not romanticizing it, but truly looking at all of it for what it is, being real honest with yourself. And I think you'll have your answer as far as what you need to do, if you need to move forward, if it's something you could work through, or if you need to just let it go and move on. So that is my advice For my beautiful soulmate, Iris, thank you for your email. I hope that you find the advice that I'm giving you valuable. And do not forget to check that comment section, because again, I can only speak from my experience, but we have hundreds of soulmates that has been through so much more than I've lived in my 30 years of life, and so I'm sure they could provide you with so much more valuable advice. So check that comment section and see what the soulmates have for you, Iris. I truly wish you the best of luck. Remember that the best love is self-love, and it exists even in a space where you are being completely loved by your partner. But always make sure that you prioritize yourself, that you are pouring into yourself, and that you are loving yourself first and foremost. Everything else always falls into place. I love you, soulmates. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Do not forget to follow your girl, Elli Soul, on all her social media platforms @ Elli Soul. That's @ ELISOUL. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will catch you in the next video.